Hi doctors, welcome to 𝗲𝗵𝗺. Welcome to the 5th class of Skin, Soft Tissue and Musculoskeletal System. The topic of discussion for today is pox virus. So pox virus includes smallpox and Molluscum Contagiosum. We will discuss pox in a little bit detail. My dear friends, you have already discussed varicella zoster where we discussed chickenpox. Now, it's the right time to talk about smallpox. Although smallpox is eradicated, but still it's very important to discuss them because nobody knows when the hero is going to re-enter into the cinema again. So, pox. Pox is an enveloped virus. So, if you have not watched the general virology video, I'll recommend you to please go to the general microbiology and watch that video because there we have discussed that it is enveloped virus. It is a DNA virus and it is having a double-stranded DNA virus with complex symmetry. Pox is very important. Then when we were discussing the general virology, then also I told you that pox sounds similar to box. So it's having a box-shaped symmetry, or you can say it is having a complex symmetry or brick-shaped brick-shaped symmetry, right? Coming on to a very important concept that most DNA viruses, they have an habit of replicating in the nucleus. Most DNA one, as I always tell, that nucleus has got the genetic material. Nucleus has got a genetic material. One will be the DNA, one will be the RNA. D for DNA. DNA says I am dominant, so I will replicate inside the nucleus. RNA, please go to cytoplasm and replicate there. So what I want to convey by this is that most DNA viruses are going to replicate in the nucleus, whereas pox virus being a DNA virus, is an exception to this trend because pox viruses are replicating entirely in the cytoplasm. Pox viruses replicate entirely in the cytoplasm, and in the cytoplasm they have got inclusion bodies also, which are called as Guarnieri bodies. Okay, so intracytoplasmic inclusions in the case of pox virus are called as Guarnieri bodies, which are diagnostic of pox virus, right? So what I have told you till now is, one, that they are going to replicate in cytoplasm. Second, they have got inclusion bodies called as Guarnieri bodies. One more replication, please understand that hepatitis B is also an exception since it's a DNA virus and it is also going to replicate in cytoplasm but as well as nucleus. Okay, so hepatitis B, B for both, and both means what? In the cytoplasm as well as in the nucleus. Okay, so remember that hepatitis B is going to replicate both in the nucleus and the cytoplasm. Okay, now pox viruses are the only DNA viruses without icosahedral symmetry, and instead they have got a box or a brick shaped virus. So this is the exception. Okay, so one exception was the site of replication. Other exception is that pox virus is the only, because all the DNA viruses have got icosahedral symmetry, whereas pox is a box, that means it has got a box or a brick shaped symmetry. Okay, good. Now coming on to a very important point for the pox, it creates its own envelope. Pox virus has got its own envelope in contrast to a modified version of host cytoplasmic or nuclear membrane in other viruses. So this is the third exception of pox. So the pox virus has got its own envelope. How I used to remember it, for example, this is a pox virus, just like a box. So this box has got its own envelope, right? Has got its own envelope. Okay, so pox virus has got its own envelope. This is the third important thing of vital importance. Coming on to the fourth part, fourth exception, that pox virus is the virus which contains its own virion associated transcriptase. So it's an enzyme which you have to remember that pox virus has, the pox virus has got its own transcriptase enzyme. Okay, so pox virus has got its own transcriptase enzyme. Clear? Yeah. Now smallpox, as I have told you, we will discuss in some detail. So till now I was discussing you about the pox in general, okay, chicken pox, smallpox. Now coming on to the specific topic, smallpox. Smallpox is also called as variola virus, okay. Smallpox, that is called as variola virus, has been eradicated with the live attenuated vaccinia virus, okay. So they have been eradicated with the live attenuated vaccinia virus vaccine, okay, or you can just remember that it has been eradicated with the help of a live attenuated vaccine, okay. And in addition to protecting against the smallpox, this vaccine also protects against the cowpox, monkeypox, and even the vaccinia also. So what I told you is that smallpox, which is also called as variola, has been eradicated, okay. I'll write in points, variola, okay. So try and make a formula of it. So variola is the name of smallpox, eradicated. So whenever you will write eradicated, should be equal to live attenuated vaccine, should be equal to cowpox, should be equal to monkeypox, should be equal to vaccinia, okay. So these are the tricks, okay. So the complex text of your textbooks also can be simplified in this manner, and you should know that. Now transmission of smallpox is by the small droplets or small secretions. Now how I remember SMALL small, and this S is important for this S, okay. So this S means respiratory secretions, this S means S for small. So remember, smallpox is going to get inhaled by the respiratory secretions, okay. So what actually happens, it's just for your understanding and nothing to learn out of it. So what happens is smallpox infects the upper respiratory epithelium. Upper respiratory epithelium means, like for example, your nostrils, the nasopharynx, okay. And then it is going to penetrate through the mucosa, and once it is penetrating through the mucosa, it is going to enter into the bloodstream, and once it is going to enter into the bloodstream, it is going to multiply in different organs, leading to focal infections like in the kidney, in the liver, in the lung, in the brain. So many places it can go, but you have to remember that smallpox, via the inhalation of the respiratory secretions, it is going to go inside your body. Now once the skin is infected, smallpox and skin, very important. Once the skin is infected, the viral particles are going to collect there and replicate inside the epidermis, where they form macules. They first appear in the head and later in the extremities. This is important. So when the skin is infected, please remember that the first part to be affected is the skin of the head region, and then it is going to be the extremities. Whereas in smallpox, the area affected first is the trunk. The first affected area is the trunk, and then the extremities. Here it is the head and the extremities, okay. So slight difference between the smallpox and the chickenpox. Please remember that smallpox have same age of the lesion, whereas chickenpox have different ages of the lesion. That means that all the lesions are coming at one point of time if it is smallpox, whereas these are going to come at different point of time if it is chickenpox. How to remember? Remember, C and D come very close to each other. C for chickenpox, D for different ages, S for smallpox, S for same ages. But one thing, my dear friends, if I talk you about the lesions, so remember, smallpox has got deeper lesions, chickenpox has got superficial lesions. So remember this, the D now comes in the smallpox. So earlier D was in the chickenpox, here is deeper one is the smallpox, whereas the superficial one is the chickenpox. Clear? Which is the area which is affected? So please remember, trunk is a big one, whereas face and palms are these small ones. So face and palms, because they are small ones, so the area affected is the face and the palms in the case of smallpox, whereas the trunk being a little bigger one, the chickenpox is something that is going to affect the trunk first. Clear? Easy? Correct. So small areas like face and palm by smallpox, whereas bigger area like trunk by the chickenpox. Okay. Vaccinia virus is used as a live virus smallpox vaccine. I have told you this. Smallpox, cowpox, monkeypox, only one vaccine, right? And immunization, how it is confirmed? It is confirmed by a localized vesicular skin lesion at the site of injection, which resolve in 10 to 14 days. Okay. So this is important, that how to confirm the immunization. Whenever immunization is given, there will be a localized vesicular skin lesion at the site of the injection. Vesicular skin lesion at the site of injection, that is going to occur. Now, very important thing is that the cowpox. Now, cowpox is also important. Just this one line is very important. So, cowpox, what is cowpox? Cowpox is a localized vesicular skin lesion. Cowpox is a vesicular skin lesion, okay, that is acquired from the contact with the infected udders of cows, which is also called as milkmaid's blister. Please understand, very simple, that cowpox has got vesicular lesions, and one more important thing, since cow gives milk, so it is milkmaid's blister. This is how you can remember very easily. And the mnemonic for cowpox is very simple, CMV. Just remember it now in this class only, because if the question asked in the MCQ format mostly, so then they can ask you these two things only, that V for they will have vesicular lesions, M for they have got milkmaid blisters which are there, and what is C? C for cowpox. Okay. Coming on to the part 2 of this class, this is Molluscum Contagiosum. So Molluscum Contagiosum is also a pox virus. Okay, it's also a pox virus. Then it is transmitted through the skin contact or via the fomites, just like towels and infected door handles. They can lead to Molluscum Contagiosum. Molluscum Contagiosum, it is flesh colored. Remember, it is a flesh colored papule with the central umbilication. Let me check if I have got a picture of it. Yeah, see here. So it is a flesh colored one. No, this is not molluscum. This is smallpox. This is smallpox. Okay, this is smallpox. I'll search for the, no, I don't have the picture. Alright, so just remember that they have got flesh colored papules with this central umbilication. Okay, that can occur anywhere except they don't occur, okay, I'll mark in this color, they don't occur in the palms and the soles, they don't occur. And yes, it is associated with pruritus and itching. Just understand once, I'll give you the revision summary of this. Now, Molluscum Contagiosum is most commonly seen in children and in the immunocompromised patients, right? And histopathologically examination, whenever you'll do, you will have the cytoplasmic inclusion bodies with keratinocytes called as Molluscum bodies, okay, called as Molluscum bodies. Actually, it is a self-limited infection in immunocompetent individuals, but in immunocompromised lesions, in immunocompromised individuals, there is a high risk of widespread of the disease, so we have to take care. Clear? So, giving you a summary of Molluscum Contagiosum, remember it is a pox virus, it spreads via the skin contact, it can go to any part of the body except palms and sole, okay, except palms and sole. Then you should know that it is a flesh colored one. Then it is going to have flesh colored with central umbilication. Then it has got molluscum bodies in the keratinocytes. Okay, so these three things are of vital importance. You should not forget this, right? And okay, time for a little homework, my dear doctors. You have to tell me molluscum bodies are also called as what? Or you may search and tell me that what are the inclusion bodies seen in Molluscum contagiosum. Right? So this was our lecture on the pox virus. I hope that it was useful to you. Thank you so much for watching the lecture, and I hope that things are making sense to you. We are doing our lectures in systemic manner just for you, and I think this is the first time as per the CBME curriculum that somebody is conducting lecture of microbiology in systemic way. My feedback section is always open for your positive feedbacks, negative feedbacks, comments, love, blessings. Thank you so much for watching.